Hello! Ako po si Franco Luna, Puma-Podcast. You're listening to Teka Teka News. Balitang thinking, hindi breaking. In this episode,
How can we teach our kids that crime does not pay kung makikita nila pag on nila ng TV ay kapresyo ng MacBook Air na latest ang binili para sa teachers nila. So by simply going to any mall and you can see computers that are cheaper than binili ng DBM, PS at ng DepEd will be very revealing. Masyado kasi itong blatant eh. So napaka-simple nito na either napakadaling ipaliwanag or huling-huli mo na talagang in-overpriced. But to be fair,
that was Senator Alan Peter Cayetano blasting the procurement service of the Department of Budget and Management. We're gonna talk about why this once unknown agency is in the news yet again over another problematic pandemic deal. The Commission on Audit reported that the Department of Education's purchase of over 39,000 laptops for public school teachers were quote-unquote pricey, considering they were entry-level machines with largely outdated processors. Cayetano was explaining to Senate reporters why he filed a resolution urging the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee to investigate the laptops.
so my point is this. It's a very, very, very good first case for the Blue Ribbon Committee. There are more questions than answers every time nababanggit ang DBM. And there are two issues, graft and corruption. Ang corruption, yung in-overprice mo. Yung graft, yung inefficiency.
Are you getting a sense of deja vu? Must be because of Farmally. Remember that fiasco? Remember the hundreds of hours the Senate Blue Ribbon spent grilling Farmally executives and Lloyd Christopher Lao, who was the head of the PSDBM at the time? Puma Podcast actually did a special investigative series on this. Here's a snippet from episode 4.
Common sense dictates that we preserve the money of the government. And how did we preserve the money of the government? We did not pay a single centavo to the supplier until they delivered. That is the highest safeguard that we can do for the country.
That was former PSDBM Undersecretary Lloyd Christopher Lao, who signed off on all the Farmally deals. In fact, during this spirited defense, he was wagging his finger at the senators, but the thing is, he didn't preserve the money of the government. Remember, Farmally was just a reseller, which means they were getting their supplies from someone else, and the Senate hearings identified two of them, Tiger Film Marketing and Green Trends. Turns out, ito yung process nila. Step 1. Green Trends sells face masks to Tigerfill for 18 pesos. Step 2. Tigerfill sells the face masks to Farmally for 23.90. Step 3. Farmally sells the face masks to Lao and the PSDBM for 27.72. Parang di naman masama. It's a small profit per unit. But then repeat that 500,000 times for just this one order, and you get
Tigerfill profited for 2.95 million and Farmally profited for 1.9 million. Oo, kung tama yung computation na yan, pero yan ang lumalabas sa computation namin. So talagang naglulukuhan tayo dito. Lugi ang gobyerno, di ba?
It was Lao who signed off on the purchase of all these laptops that the COA called pricey too. It's also important to note that before Lao headed the PSDBM, he was an undersecretary in the Office of the Special Assistant to the President, which is the position Senator Bong Go held before he was elected to his post in 2019. The Blue Ribbon Committee's investigation into Farmally ended in recommendations to have former President Rodrigo Duterte charged once he steps down from office. That didn't happen. In the 19th Congress, the committee will begin its official probe into the laptop mess, starting Thursday, August 25. Senator Risa Hontiveros has already backed calls to do away with the agency altogether.
There have been many calls, Mr. Chair, over the past few weeks to abolish the PSDBM and to allow the individual agencies to procure their own supplies and equipment, instead of coursing it through the centralized procurement system of the PSDBM. I support these calls, but an equally if not more urgent call, needs to be made. Hold to account the officials who use the PSDBM as their milking cow.
Senator Francis Tolentino, who is now chair of the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee, has promised shorter hearings. Tolentino was part of the group that investigated formally, but who also did not sign the final report recommending charges.
We will not be here to witch hunt, to have a fishing expedition. We will not evolve into a political circus. We will not go into unending hearings. We will respect the rights of the witnesses. We will respect the rights of the resource persons.
And that was today's episode of Teka Teka. Again, I'm Franco Luna. This episode was edited by Joe Salcedo and produced by Kat Ventura. If you liked this episode, share it with a friend or two. And of course, don't forget to follow Teka Teka and Puma Podcast wherever you listen. If you want the full story on Formally and PSDBM, check out our podcast series Modus, the Formally Con, which takes you inside the twists and turns that led to one of the biggest cases of pandemic profiteering in the world. Thanks for listening.